You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and something to me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Adastra. So y'all, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go! Alrighty. Let's see, yep, alright, that'll do. Alright. I just want to spend time with Amicus, go back to Earth, see my family, come back to Adastra. But no, these parents are meddling with my life, seemingly rendering every choice I make meaningless. If they can do all and see all, why are they messing with me and Amicus like this? I'm lost in thought as I turn a corner and run smack into something soft, furry, and white. Ooh, excuse me. Oof! What in the name of the gods? It takes me a moment to recognize the voice, probably because of how disoriented I am from running into him. Sorry, Cassius. I finally focus on the indignant wolf as he angrily smooths down his fur. Watch where you're going. You could have knocked me to the floor. You know what a catastrophe that could result in. Despite his outrage, I'm actually kind of happy to see Cassius back to his old self. Just 2 days ago, he was bedridden, though recovering. A combination of Virginia inducing him to vomit and quick delivery of an antidote left Cassius in a position to fully recover. Hello to you too, Cass. Cassius fixes me with a narrow-eyed glare. Since when did I give you permission to use my shortened name, human? I shrug, simply adjusting my robe after having it disheveled from the collision. How are you feeling? Changing the subject, I see. Well, never mind. I'm feeling fine, thank you. I can at least eat solid foods now without retching, though I doubt I'll ever be able to drink wine again without doing so. Sorry to hear that. I'm sure you are. I shake my head. Wonder why the wolf has to be so sour all the time. Maybe it's a side effect of always being second in line for everything. I see something similar in Neferu. They just go about handling it differently. Maybe it's also because of his illness. Always seen as weak and needing help, and he reacted by being a dick. Then again, it could just be because he is a dick. So, what are your plans now that I've abdicated the throne and I'm leaving in disgrace? You're not leaving in disgrace. I think the people are going to be really... I am already being made fun of for being one of the shortest-serving emperors in the history of the Empire. I'm the main topic in all the comedies at the moment. Ah. Cassius takes in a deep breath, closing his eyes. Anyway, Kyllian, I wanted to thank you. I almost get whiplash from the sudden change in tone and topic. What? Oh, don't make me say it again. I'm simply thankful for you putting the Empire on a course that is somewhat tolerable, at least. As opposed to being ruled by Cato? Yes, while I might not believe that my brother is what is best for the Empire, at least he cares for it. I suppose that's all that I can hope for. Aren't you negotiating a position with Amicus? Cassius looks at me suspiciously, though I have no idea why. I suppose almost being assassinated and also being sabotaged by everyone in the palace also has made him a bit wary. I suppose he'll tell you anyway, so yes. I'm looking to become the Chief of Social Affairs. He rolls his eyes at my lack of reaction. In other words, I will be making sure that Adastra's most vulnerable are taken care of. That all will someday receive the financial, social, and especially medical care that they need. I perk up. Oh, good. That's kind of what you were all about with your campaigning, right? Yes, it will be nice to focus all my energy on that rather than the bothersome politics that come with being Emperor. I don't envy Amicus. He eyes me closely. I know you're very close with him, so please, if I must ask anything of you, it's to make sure that he does not forget those outside the Triumvir cities. The situation is desperate. If we are truly going to reap fortune from an alliance, then they should be the first to benefit, not the Adastran elites. It's one of those rare moments that Cassius is being completely genuine with me, so I nod earnestly. Of course! I also plan on making sure that Amicus remembers the Wolven children, to right the wrongs of what the past rulers had done to them. There's a lull in the conversation, and I try to think of something to say to thank Cassius for in return. And, thank you for understanding our position, for deciding to step down when we asked. You threatened me without humiliation if I did not. I try to hold in a sigh of my own at the wolf's frustrating attitude, even if my attempt at some form of diplomacy with him is clumsy. Yeah, well, thanks anyway. Cassius grunts non-committally, then looks past me. Anyway, I must be going to the city. I have an appointment. That's when I remember Alex. I never did see Cassius' reaction to finding out about the cat's treachery. Amicus had been furious when I told him, and I'd practically had to hold him back from marching out into the gardens and strangling the cat himself. He was especially furious when I told him that I'd made a deal with Alex to keep him from facing the consequences of sabotaging the entire Empire. Amicus had settled on banishing Alexius from the palace to some high-security apartments in the center of Adastra City. Cassius has been visiting him there ever since. Well, I don't know what the state of their relationship is. I suppose even high treason is enough to stop Cassius from seeing the cat again. It must be pretty close, even closer than I initially thought. I'm curious, but stop myself from asking, as I know that would only lead to more glares and sneers from the wolf. One second, y'all. Water time. Boy, howdy, I do love me some carbonated water. So instead, I bow and step aside, a bit surprised when Cassius bows in return, even if it's mostly just a half-hearted nod. I watch the white wolf disappear out through the main entrance, and I wait a few moments before taking the same route out into the gardens. While the conversation with Cassius had distracted me for a bit, my mind wanders back to what Amicus had just told me. I can't stop the feeling of constriction that seems to wrap around me, bound to the will of these supposedly all-knowing creatures. I sit for a while on a bench, contemplating everything while my hand absently caresses my repaired neck. I pressed a bit harder against the skin a few times, and didn't like the unfamiliar shapes and edges that I felt. I'd asked Amicus how the parents had done it, how they had the time to place the machinery in my neck and also make me start breathing again. Of course, it turns out it's one of those parental tech things that no one really understands. It seems to have happened instantaneously, as if I'd been whisked away somewhere else to have surgery before being placed back in the archives. Apparently, when Amicus's father had asked the parents to restore Cato's sight, it had just happened overnight. The old wolf surprising everyone when he walked into the dining room with his brand new visor. That had been over a decade ago. And that gets me wondering why the parents did that if they knew Cato would go on to do the things that he did. He blatantly got in the way of their plans. Why would they let him hold such an influential position in the Empire, let alone restore his vision? Interference is to be kept to a minimum, I can practically hear the monitor say. I sigh, just sort of wishing that the parents didn't exist at all, that this other wasn't eating at the edges of the universe, which is apparently the root cause of all this. That's something else I don't understand. From what I gathered, the Galaxius had already known about the other, but vaguely. Amicus had almost described it to me when I first arrived here, and had been told that all life originated from the same source. Except for the other. A different type of life, so different from us that we can barely understand them. But now we know that they're out to get us or something. I just can't help but feel so distant from all this. The result of the struggle between us and them being millennia away. We don't even know how many millennia. As I'm becoming more and more depressed over all this, I hear footsteps on the path. I look up, half expecting to see Alex, even as I remember he's been banished from the palace. It's Neferu, and he's strolling along the pathways, paused behind his back with his usual suave smile plastered on his muzzle. I have to wonder how he keeps that expression on all the time, as it's clear that he doesn't see me until he comes a bit closer. Ooh, excuse me. When he does spot me, his ears flick up, and I get a glimpse of the white teeth as his smile broadens. I smile back, even though I'm not in the best mood to chat at the moment. Still, I scoot over to make room on the bench, and Neferu greets me with a bow along with an Ahotep be with you, before he sits next to me, crossing one leg over the other. Beautiful day, he says it wistfully, and I just nod in agreement. Though I can see that you're not enjoying it as much as I am. Is everything all right, Kyllian? I'm about to give him a generic answer before I sigh, leaning back on the bench. No, not really, Neferu. I find that a bit surprising considering the way things have gone the past few days. I shrug. I mean, aside from almost dying, I guess everything here is good, but out there? I nod up at the sky, at space. I just don't know what to do. Perhaps I could offer some advice. I remember that Amicus had told me to keep the revelations about human civilization a secret, at least until the parents give further instruction. Second, y'all. It is Gatorade time. Just went on a shopping excursion with my roommates. We got like $400 worth of groceries. Split between 3 people, that's not so bad. Anyway. I don't know. I think I'm just stressed about going home. About how I'm gonna do it, you know? Oh, I definitely understand, for I am in a similar boat. Unfortunately, I have little advice on that particular matter. I glance over at him, watching as he rhythmically bounces a black foot about, wiggling the toes and claws. Is Kimia still pissed about what happened? Oh yes, furious. They're still threatening to cut all diplomatic relations with Adastra if Amicus doesn't make things right somehow. Make things right? Yes, despite the fact that my family very nearly despises me, they actually despise that our name has been sullied by wolven disrespect. How you were almost executed? That, and also the fact that Cato released the footage of his attack on my person before the scheduled execution. It's been in heavy rotation on the news channels ever since. Oh. I haven't watched much Adastra TV after seeing the reenactments of my own death, so I guess I've been missing Nephru getting kicked in the balls over and over again. Well, you know wolves, they're just like any sort of drama. It's been spread across the entire Galaxius. I suppose seeing a Kyllian in such a position is rather amusing to everyone, siblings and children alike. I look over at Nephru again, but his light, carefree demeanor continues as he simply seems to be soaking in the scenery. Are you doing all right? Nephru looks at me then, smile becoming a bit more warm. I am fine, Kyllian. But if I'm being truthful, I am embarrassed. But that's nothing new for me. I frown. I can count the number of times I've seen you embarrassed on one hand, Nephru. You're downright shameless. I smile to lighten the words, and Nephru just chuckles. You probably know by this point that I'm not often genuine. It comes with being a diplomat and the Pharaoh's son. There's a lull in the conversation as we both just watch the gardens, listening to the birds and watching the bees hover from flower to flower. That's when I'm reminded of something. So, what made the Kyllians want to start an alliance? Isn't it pretty groundbreaking for siblings to work together? Like, isn't that the purpose of the Galaxius? I play dumb, like I don't really already know what it is. Like I already don't know it isn't. Nephru quirks an eyebrow at me. That's a surprising question. Well, to put it simply, we studied the earliest histories of the Galaxies and came to the conclusion that it was never the intent of the parents for us to become competitors. If you don't know, the goal of the sibling race and its children is to achieve a parental status. To do that, we must be able to achieve intergalactic travel. We are slowly realizing that this may not be possible without the cooperation of all sapient life in the galaxy. I nod in understanding. So it seems like the Kyllians were already hip to this grand plan, either by actually figuring it out themselves or with the help of their own parent. This makes me wonder if they might know more about the thing lingering on the edges of the universe. Do you know much about the other? Now Nephru turns on the bench to really look at me, furrowing his brows. Another interesting question. Did you have some sort of experience with the parents when they healed your wounds? Yeah, kind of. Just really vague stuff, so I'm just curious about it is all. I try to make it sound like it's not a big deal. Well, it is an entity that spreads through the universe every few billion years. It originated from somewhere other than the original source of life, the source from which we all came. It's like, y'all, Gatorade time. So is this entity actually bad because it's bad, or is it bad because the parents say it's bad? His choice of words is confusing me. Is it, like, alive? Is it alive like you and I? No, not really. It is more of a machine, I suppose. On the edge of life, but it needs sapient life to exist. Oh, like a virus? Yes, though even viruses originated from the original source. The other is truly something different. And it feeds on life? Our life, I mean? First, I should say that we know about it, that what we know about it is very, very limited, and the majority of that information is likely wrong. Really just ghost stories. Well, what are these ghost stories? Nephru sighs, and I realize that he's not exactly interested in this topic. How to put it? Well, it's thought that in the half-dozen or so times that the other has spread through our part of the universe, it has left behind small, patchy portions of itself. It is technically all around us, but very weak, though it is thought that highly concentrated portions of it attached to tangible things, or occasionally pass through us. I feel a little tingle down my spine. And what does it do? Nephru shakes his head. I'm sure your people have stories of phenomena that are unexplainable. Perhaps an abandoned building that is inhabited by malicious spirits. Possibly a creature that defies all logical explanation, yet sporadically appears in a particular forest. Wait, like supernatural stuff? I give the jackal an incredulous look, and he shrugs and laughs. So the stories say. They also say that sapient consciousness is used by the other to project these manifestations, and that the sapient's reactions to these projections feeds the entity. Personally, I feel that the legends surrounding the other are simply a catch-all for anything that is feared or poorly understood, or just the product of a bored society. I think back to what little I know about ghosts, monsters, even aliens or UFOs, and immediately the idea is too ridiculous for me to accept. Why haven't I heard of this while I've been here? You probably have, but just didn't understand the topic at the time. Either way, it's never a serious worry on anyone's mind, considering how rarely this entity makes contact with our side of the universe. I just stare at the ground, not really sure of what to say. Like Nephru, I find myself not very interested in the topic anymore, and our conversation moves on. We talk of Nephru's plans, when he might return home, and how I might help him secure the alliance. Eventually, he gets up to return to his room for a nap, leaving me to sit on the bench in silence. If I'm being honest, the conversation has left me feeling a bit strange about this whole intergalactic war the parents are preparing for. It sounds more like we're getting ready to fight off an army of space ghosts rather than anything real. I sit there for a long while, opening my mind a bit, kind of hoping that the monitor will swing by and dump a little more information on me that I can work with, even though I know that's not really in his nature. The problem is that I already know that I'll probably do this mission. In the end, I kind of feel like I have to trust in these parents, despite how awful they're being to me and Amicus. It's for the good of all sapients, right? And if it isn't, well, I don't want to imagine we're doomed at the hands of some maniacal space gods. Things stay predictably quiet, and as I am thinking about heading back to Amicus's room to see if he's returned, Calm's voice makes me jump. Amicus would like to let you know that he is currently in the bath, and if you would like to, you can join him. However, he wants to make it explicitly clear that it is your choice, and that if you need more time... Thanks, Calm. I'll head there now. Yes, Kyllian. I immediately spot Amicus as the door slides open, and I see the wolf jolt from leaning back against the edge of the pool before quickly leaning back again, raising a paw casually. Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there before we get a little nudity and have to do any editing in this video. We'll save that for the next one. But yeah, looks like we've got some interesting, I wouldn't say answers, more like theories about what the other are, and perhaps what the ultimate plan for the parents have for all sapients are. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!